The sun always rose brightly over the small village of Idera, casting a golden glow across the farmlands and waking the roosters that crowed with pride. Every morning, Tami and her mother, Bella, began their day before the cock's third crow. Life was not easy for them, both poor and uneducated, but they carried joy like a treasured secret. Bella was a widow who had learned to smile through hardship, and her daughter, Tami, shared that same spirit. Together, they made farming less of a burden and more of a song. Tami was a beautiful dark-skinned girl whose face brightens whenever she laughed. She never complained about the sun that burned her shoulders or the calluses on her palms. Instead, she sang as she weeded and harvested. Sometimes, Bella would pause her hoeing just to watch her daughter. The sight filled her heart with gratitude and pain all at once. Gratitude that she had been blessed with such a good child. Pain that she could not give her more than the little life they lived. One evening, the clouds gathered fast and heavy, and a fierce wind swept through Idera. The thunder roared as if angry spirits were fighting above the sky. Bella quickly gathered their few belongings while Tami tried to keep the fire in their clay stove from spreading. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the roof, and before they could react, part of it was ripped away by the wind. Rain poured through the open hole, drenching everything inside. Tami and her mother huddled in a corner while cold water splashed around them. Tami tried to smile, saying, "Mama, maybe the wind is helping us wash our house." But Bella's eyes were full of tears. That night, long after Tami fell asleep on her lap, Bella sat in the darkness thinking. Her heart ached. "How long will my child live like this?" she asked herself. Her brother, Kola, had written earlier that month saying he would visit soon from the city. Bella trusted him deeply. He was her only surviving sibling. Maybe, she thought, if Tami went with him, she could have a better life, one with education, comfort, and hope. The thought brought relief and pain all at once. Could she really send her only child away? By morning, her mind was made up. After they cleaned up the damage from the storm, Bella called Tami and sat her down under the mango tree behind their hut. "My child," she began gently, "I have been thinking. Your uncle, Kola, is coming soon from the city. I want you to go with him when he returns. There, you will live a better life. I cannot bear to see you suffer this way anymore." Tami's smile faded. She blinked, not believing what she had just heard. "Mama, no," she said, her voice trembling. "Who will help you in the farm? Who will talk to you when you're lonely? Who will make you laugh?" Tears filled her eyes. "I don't want to go. I want to stay with you, Mama." "My daughter, I will miss you, but this is for your good. Your uncle is kind, and his wife too. They will take care of you better than I can. You must trust me," Bella said. Tami cried and begged, but her mother's mind was firm. She promised to visit when she could. Deep down, Tami knew her mother was right, but the thought of leaving her behind broke her heart. A week later, the day came. The village elders gathered under the big tree to bless Tami before her journey. She knelt in the middle of the circle as the old men and women offered words of wisdom. "Be a good girl," one said. "Do not forget the ways of your people," another added. "The city has its temptations," warned the oldest man. "Do not bring shame to your mother's name." Tami nodded through her tears. Uncle Kola stood proudly beside her, promising the elders that Tami would be well cared for. When the time came to leave, Bella could not hold back her emotions. She hugged her daughter tightly, her body trembling. "Be strong, my child," she whispered. "Make me proud." Tami clung to her until Uncle Kola gently pulled her away. As they walked down the dusty path, Tami turned back several times, waving until her mother disappeared from sight. Her eyes burned with tears, but she kept walking, her sack bag placed on her head and her heart full of both fear and hope. The city was nothing like Tami had ever imagined. The roads were wide and smooth, lined with tall buildings that shone in the sun. The air smelled strange of fuel, smoke, and fried food from roadside sellers. Tami sat quietly in the car beside her uncle, her eyes darting from one side to another. She had only ever seen cars in old schoolbooks, and now she was sitting in one, moving faster than she could run. When she saw a plane flying low in the sky, she gasped loudly. "Uncle, look, the iron bird!" she said, pointing excitedly. Uncle Kola chuckled. "That's an aeroplane, Tami. You'll get used to it soon." When they arrived at Kola's home, Tami was surprised by the size of the house. It was painted white, with a big iron gate and flowers by the entrance. His wife, Ayo, came out to welcome them. She smiled warmly and hugged Tami. "Ah, you are even more beautiful than your uncle said," she said. "Come in, my dear. You are home now." That night, Tami lay on a soft bed for the first time in her life. The room smelled of soap and perfume, and the ceiling fan hummed above her. It all felt strange but pleasant. She missed her mother, but for the first time in days, she slept peacefully. The next morning, Ayo began to teach her how to live in the city. "This is the refrigerator," she said, pointing to a large white box. "You keep food inside to stay cold." Tami tried repeating the word. "Refrigi what?" Ayo laughed kindly. Later, when they turned on the television, Tami screamed and nearly ran out of the room. "People are inside the box," she shouted. Ayo laughed so hard she had tears in her eyes. "No, my dear, that is television. Those are not real people, they are acting." Tami slowly started to learn. She swept the compound, washed dishes, and helped Ayo with cooking. Uncle Kola told her she would start learning fashion design soon, after she settled for a few months. "You will make beautiful clothes and earn your own money," he said proudly. The thought of it made her smile. One morning, as she was about to go to the market, she heard the sound of sirens. She paused at the gate and saw a convoy of shiny black cars passing by. Curious, she watched as the vehicles slowed. Their windows tinted dark. "Who are they?" she asked the gateman. He chuckled. "That's the prince of this land. He passes this road every morning to attend meetings at the palace." "Is Afono the prince?" Tami repeated in awe. "He lives here?" "Somewhere not far from here," the gateman said. "You can always tell when he's coming by the noise of those sirens." Tami's eyes sparkled. "I will come tomorrow to see him again," she said cheerfully. And true to her word, the next morning she was at the gate even before the convoy appeared. When the cars finally approached, she stood close to the road and waved with both hands, smiling widely. She was simply fascinated by the scene. Day after day, she repeated this same routine. She would wait by the gate each morning, waving joyfully as the convoy drove by. The gateman teased her, saying, "One day, they will stop and ask why a village girl waves at the prince every day." She would laugh and say, "Maybe they will give me a ride in one of those cars." But one morning, something unexpected happened. The convoy slowed down right in front of the gate. Tami's heart skipped. The lead car stopped, and a man in a brown suit stepped out. He looked around, his eyes landing on Tami. For a second, their eyes met. Panic surged through her chest. She turned and ran straight into the compound, her heart pounding wildly. The gateman, who had been watching, also took to his heels. "I told you, this girl. They stopped because of you. You won't put me in trouble." Tami hid behind the kitchen door, breathing heavily. "Did they see me?" she asked, peeking out cautiously. "Yes," the gateman replied, grinning. "Maybe the prince himself saw you." Her cheeks burned with embarrassment. His driver rushed to his side, confused about why he had stopped, but the prince's eyes were fixed on one thing, the young girl who had always waved at his passing convoy with joy and innocence. "Your Highness, we are already late for the meeting," his driver said carefully, opening the car door. "Please, let's return. You have a flight to catch this evening." The prince smiled faintly, still looking in the direction where Tami had run into the compound. "I just wanted to see who she is," he said softly. "She has waved at us every single morning. There's something special about her." But the driver, seeing the tension building around, persuaded him to return. "We will be back in town soon, my prince. Let's not cause alarm in someone's home." The prince sighed, nodded, and got back into the car. As they drove away, he couldn't get the image of the frightened girl out of his mind. That night, he couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed, thinking about her, the dark-skinned girl with bright eyes that showed even in her fear. He thought about her bravery, how she had waved at the royal convoy every morning without fail, not knowing that inside those cars sat the heir to the throne. Something in her purity drew him in, something he could not explain. By morning, his decision was made. He would go back, not with his guards, not in his convoy, but alone. The prince drove his own car, a black sedan that looked like any other city car, and followed the same route his convoy usually took. When he reached the familiar gate, he parked quietly and stepped out. The air smelled fresh from the night rain. The gateman sat at his usual spot, half dozing in his chair. But the moment he looked up and saw who was walking towards him, he nearly fell off the chair. His eyes widened, and he quickly dropped to his knees. "Your Highness, please forgive me. I didn't know." The prince raised a hand gently. "Please, don't be afraid. I'm not here to cause any trouble." The gateman's hands trembled. "My prince, please. She's just a poor village girl. She doesn't know the ways of the city. Forgive her, my lord." The prince smiled kindly. "There's nothing to forgive. I only wish to see her. That is all." The gateman hesitated, unsure of what to do. He didn't want to be blamed for whatever would happen next, so he decided to call his employer Uncle Kola. Within minutes, Kola and his wife Ayo came out of the house, confusion written all over their faces. Behind them was Tami, who looked terrified. Her heart pounded so fast that she could hear it echo in her ears. "Your Highness," Uncle Kola greeted, "you've turned our small compound into a royal ground this morning. To what do we owe the honor? Please, forgive me for coming unannounced," said the prince. "I only wanted to meet the girl who waves at my convoy every morning. I mean no harm." Tami's face burned with shame. She wanted to run away again, but Ayo held her hand tightly. The gateman had already told them what happened the previous day, and she didn't want Tami to appear rude. The prince looked at Tami and smiled gently. "You have been cheering us up every morning with your wave. It may seem small to you, but it brightens my day. I just wanted to thank you in person, and perhaps know you better." Uncle Kola laughed awkwardly. "Your Highness, she's only a simple girl from the village. She doesn't even understand half of what goes on in the city. If you seek someone for sensible conversation, wait for my daughters. They'll soon return from the university." But the prince shook his head. "I do not want your daughters. I mean no disrespect," said the prince softly. "I only ask to be her friend. I promise not to bring shame to your home or harm to her. She reminds me of something I have long forgotten, sincerity." Uncle Kola studied the prince's face for a long moment. He could see he was serious. After a heavy sigh, he said, "All right then, Your Highness, but she will not go to your palace. If you must see her, you come here, and my wife will be present during your talks." The prince nodded gratefully. "That is fair enough. Thank you for trusting me." And that was how their unusual friendship began. Weeks turned into months, and every visit brought laughter to their home. The prince often came with gifts, cakes, books, and drinks. Sometimes he would sit outside with Tami, telling her stories of places she had never seen. She listened with wide eyes, amazed by the life beyond her imagination. He taught her how to pronounce certain words, and she taught him local proverbs from her village. They laughed at each other's mistakes. For the first time in a long while, Tami felt truly happy. Uncle Kola and his wife watched carefully, but even they could see the prince's respect and gentleness. One sunny afternoon, the prince came earlier than usual. He looked excited. "Tami," he said with a bright smile, "my parents, the king and queen, are returning from their trip tomorrow. I want you to come with me to the airport to welcome them." Tami froze. "Me? The airport?" "Yes," he said eagerly. "You've always wanted to see an aeroplane up close, haven't you? This is your chance." Her heart raced. She wanted to go more than anything. She had dreamed of seeing the flying machine that cut through the sky, but she hesitated. "Your parents, will they be happy to see me?" The prince smiled confidently. "Of course. They will be pleased to meet someone who makes their son smile." And so, after much persuasion, Tami agreed. He told her to wear her best dress, and that he would come for her by noon. The next day, Tami woke up before dawn. She washed the plates in the sink and even helped Ayo with cooking in the kitchen. She bonded her hair and wore her best dress, an old unfitted gown that hung loosely on her shoulders, paired with her favorite slippers. She didn't have jewelry, but she rubbed coconut oil on her skin until it glowed. When the prince arrived, his eyes lit up. "You look beautiful," he said sincerely. Tami blushed, looking away shyly. "This old dress?" she asked. "Yes," he said, smiling. "It suits you perfectly." They drove to the airport, and Tami could hardly keep her excitement contained. When she saw the massive airplane land, her eyes widened in awe. "It's so big," she whispered. "Bigger than the trees." The prince laughed softly. "Now you see it for yourself." When the royal parents finally stepped off the plane, the crowd cheered. The king waved majestically while the queen smiled gracefully. The prince hurried to greet them, bowing deeply before giving his mother a hug. Then, with pride in his voice, he turned and said, "Mother, Father, this is my friend, Tami. She came with me to welcome you." The smile on the queen's face disappeared instantly. Her eyes narrowed as she scanned Tami from head to toe. The king frowned, taking a step closer. "You brought this girl to welcome us?" he said sharply. "Who is she?" "My friend," the prince said again, his voice firm. "Friend!" the queen interrupted, her voice dripping with disapproval. "You call this village beggar your friend? What nonsense!" Tami's heart dropped. Her smile vanished as whispers spread among the attendants. The queen's face twisted in disgust. "Look at her! The smell of the farm still clings to her skin. Is this how a prince behaves?" The prince tried to speak, but his mother raised her hand. "We have raised you better than this. You disgrace our name, bringing such filth to stand beside royalty." Tami's eyes filled with tears. She looked down at herself, the faded dress, the worn slippers, and wished she could disappear. The world around her spun. The prince stepped forward, anger burning in his chest. "Mother! Father! You have no right to speak to her like that. She is kind, she is decent, and she is my friend." But the king's voice boomed like thunder. "Silence! You are a prince. You must know your place. We will not see this rag again anywhere near you." That was the last blow. Tami could no longer bear the humiliation. Tears streamed down her face as she turned and ran. She didn't even know where she was going. She just ran, through the crowd, past the cars, her slippers slapping against the hot pavement. The prince shouted her name. "Tami! Tami! Stop!" He ran after her, ignoring the guards and the protests of his parents. People stared, whispering in shock as the heir to the throne chased a crying girl through the airport gates. "Tami, please wait," he called again, but she didn't stop. Her heart felt heavy, her breath came in short gasps, and her vision blurred with tears. All she could think was how foolish she had been to think she could ever belong in his world. When the prince caught up with Tami, she was still running blindly, her face wet with tears. He gently grabbed her arm and pulled her close. "Tami, stop. Please, stop crying," he said breathlessly. She struggled to free herself, ashamed and broken. "Why did you bring me there?" she sobbed. "They called me names. They said I smelled. They said I am nothing." The prince's eyes filled with pain. "No, Tami, you are not nothing. You are everything kind and pure in this world. I am sorry for what they said. I didn't know they would act that way." But Tami kept crying. Her heart felt heavy, and shame gripped her like a cold hand. The prince pulled out his handkerchief and wiped her face gently. "Let's go home," he whispered. "You need to rest, please." She didn't resist anymore. Quietly, she followed him to the car. The drive home was silent, except for her quiet sobs. The prince kept glancing at her, guilt burning in his chest. He wanted to promise her a better world, one without judgment and cruelty. But he knew his parents' hearts were hardened by pride. When they arrived at Uncle Cola's compound, Ao ran out in shock. "What happened?" she asked, seeing Tami's red eyes. The prince bowed slightly, his face full of regret. "Please forgive me. My parents, they were unkind. I will fix this, I promise." He looked at Tami one last time before leaving. "Don't cry anymore, Tami. I'll make things right," he said softly and drove away. Days passed, and the prince could not stop thinking about her. He missed her laughter, her innocence, her warmth. But at the palace, the queen noticed her son's mood and knew he had not forgotten the village girl. Anger rose in her like a storm. "That girl will ruin my son's destiny," she said bitterly. "I will end this nonsense once and for all." When the prince traveled for a week-long business trip, she saw it as the perfect opportunity. She and her driver went straight to Uncle Cola's house. Ayo came out quickly, bowing low. "Your Majesty, you are welcome to our humble home." But the Queen's eyes were cold. She threw a bundle of money at Ayo's feet. "Take this," she said sharply. "Get that girl out of my son's life. Send her back to wherever she came from. And if my son asks of her, tell him something tragic. Tell him she's dead if you must. If not, I will make this entire street a living hell for you." Ayo's heart pounded. She bent and picked up the money, but respectfully returned it to the Queen. "We are not poor, Your Majesty," she said bravely, her voice trembling. "We live within our means, and we are content. I will do as you wish, but not because of your money. It is because I don't want trouble in my home." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Do it," she said coldly, "and make sure that girl disappears before my son returns." That night, when Uncle Cola returned from work, his wife told him everything that had happened earlier. He was furious. "What kind of insult is this?" he shouted. "Does she think we are slaves?" He paced the room, fuming. "We can't fight the royal family. We have to send the girl home at once." Uncle Cola and his wife called Tami to inform her of the situation they are in. Tami burst into tears. "Please, Uncle, I didn't mean to cause trouble. I didn't ask for his friendship." "I know, my child," Cola said gently, "but you must leave. It's for your safety. Tomorrow, you will go back to your mother." The next morning, Tami packed her small sack bag. Ayo hugged her tightly. "You are a good girl, Tami. Don't blame yourself. Sometimes the world punishes people for being too pure." Obvious, when she reached her village, her mother, Bella, ran out of the hut to welcome her. "My daughter!" she cried, hugging her tightly. Tami wept in her mother's arms, telling her everything that had happened. Bella stroked her hair softly. "My child, you have done nothing wrong. It's not your fault that you are beautiful and kind. The prince saw light in you, but his people live in darkness. Do not cry anymore." Life slowly returned to normal for Tami. She went back to farming with her mother, singing as she worked. Though she missed the prince deeply, she was happy to be home, surrounded by peace and love. Meanwhile, the prince returned from his business trip with a joyful heart. He had missed Tami and couldn't wait to surprise her with the gifts he had brought. When he arrived at Cola's compound, he was smiling, holding a large box of presents. "Where is Tami?" he asked cheerfully. The gateman froze. His eyes darted nervously. "Oh, my prince, I have bad news." The prince's smile faded. "What do you mean, bad news?" The old man swallowed hard. "Tami, she went to the market one afternoon, and she was hit by a car on her way back. She died instantly. They have taken her body back to her village for burial." The words hit the prince like thunder. He staggered backward, dropping the gift box. No, that can't be true," he whispered. "Not Tami." His body went weak, and before anyone could catch him, he fainted. His driver rushed him to the palace, where he was treated, but when he woke up, tears poured down his face. He mourned for days, locking himself in his room. The palace servants whispered among themselves that the prince had gone mad with grief. Months passed, but the wound never healed. Every time he saw the sunrise, he remembered her waving by the gate. One day, he decided to visit the gateman again, just to thank him for his loyalty, and maybe find peace by being near the place where he first met Tami. He brought a bag of old clothes and food for the gateman. The old man was honored, and thanked the prince repeatedly. But, as the prince prepared to leave, the gateman's conscience began to trouble him. He ran after the car, shouting, "My prince! Wait, please!" The prince stopped. "What is it?" The gateman's hands shook. "Forgive me, my prince. I lied. Tami is not dead." The prince froze. "What?" "I was forced to tell you that. The queen came here. She threatened us. She made them send Tami back to her village and ordered us to tell you she died." The prince's eyes darkened. "My own mother?" he whispered. "Yes, my prince," the gateman said with guilty eye. "I could not keep the lie any longer." Without another word, the prince got into his car and drove off like a storm. When he reached the palace, he barged into the royal hall, his voice echoing. "Mother!" he roared. What have you done?" The queen flinched at his tone. "Bright, please." "Don't please me," he shouted. "You lied to me. You made me believe she was dead. How could you be so cruel?" The king entered the hall, shocked. "What is going on?" "She deceived me, father," the prince said, his voice trembling with anger. "She destroyed the only good thing in my life." The queen broke into tears. "I did it to protect you, my son. She's not your kind. You are a prince." "I don't care about titles," he shouted. "I care about love, and I love her. I'm leaving this palace. I will not return until I find her." He turned and stormed out before anyone could stop him. The queen collapsed in tears while the king stood silent, watching his son drive away into the night. For 3 days, the prince drove across dusty roads, following the directions the gateman had given him. He barely slept, barely ate. Finally, on the 3rd day, he arrived at the familiar small village of Adera. Tami was at her mother's compound, washing plates near the hut. She heard footsteps and looked up. Her heart almost stopped. Standing there, dusty and tired but smiling, was the Prince Bright. She dropped the bowl and ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "Bright!" she cried. He opened his arms wide, and she threw herself into them. Both of them wept, holding each other tightly. "I thought you were dead," he whispered. "They told me you were gone." "I thought I would never see you again," she said between sobs. Bella came out from the hut, and when she saw them, her eyes widened in surprise. But when the prince knelt and greeted her respectfully, she smiled warmly. "Welcome, my son," she said softly. "You have suffered to get here." They welcomed him with food and palm wine, and that night, for the first time in months, the prince slept peacefully in the small hut beside the woman he loved. Back in the city, the queen was restless. "Find my son," she cried to the king. "Please, I was wrong. I cannot lose him." The king sighed heavily. "You let pride blind your heart," he said quietly. He summoned Kola and his wife and instructed them to prepare for a journey to Adera village. The royal convoy, with the king and his chiefs, set out to find the missing prince. By the time they arrived, the prince had already adjusted to village life. He even followed Tami to the farm, despite her protests. "You are not used to this life," she said. "I don't care," he replied, smiling. "If this same life made you who you are, then I want to live it too." He carried a hoe awkwardly, stumbling a few times, but he laughed through it all. "I'll buy farmlands here," he said. "We'll make this village better. I'll build schools, wells, everything they need." When they returned home that evening, Bella noticed the presence of royalty in front of her hut. Her heart nearly stopped. "Oh no," she whispered, trembling. "The king is here." Moments later, the king entered. Tami was scared while Bright stood protectively beside her. "Father," the prince said, "I told you, I'm not returning unless she comes with me." The king sighed. "My son, let's talk privately. Please, come home." "I will," the prince said firmly, "but only if Tami and her mother come with me. They will live in a private home, well furnished. A tutor will teach them how to live in the city's ways. When they are ready, I will reintroduce her to the family properly." The king looked at him for a long time, then nodded slowly. "If that is what will make you happy, then so be it." The prince smiled, holding Tami's hand tightly. For the first time in a long while, peace filled the air. True to his word, the king fulfilled every promise he made to his son. He saw to it that Tami and her mother were given the best treatment possible. A private tutor was hired to teach them how to read and write fluently, how to dine and speak in public, and how to carry themselves with grace and confidence. For 5 long months, Tami worked tirelessly. Each morning she rose early, practiced her pronunciation in front of the mirror, and learned how to walk elegantly in heels. Her mother, Bella, also learned how to behave among nobles. Though she preferred the simple life of the village, she was happy to see her daughter blossoming. Tami's transformation was astonishing. Her poise was perfect, her speech refined, and her beauty now glowed with sophistication. Everyone in the private apartment who saw her during her training admired her transformation. Even the tutors whispered among themselves, "She is destined for greatness." One sunny afternoon, the prince walked into the palace singing cheerfully. His mother, the queen, was sitting in the royal sitting room. He hugged her tightly and said, "Mother, I have wonderful news. The queen smiled, surprised at her son's excitement. "What is it, my son?" The prince grinned. "I have finally forgotten about that local girl. I have met someone else, a woman of class and standard, the kind of lady you have always wished for me." The queen's face lit up immediately. She clapped her hands in joy. "Oh, my brilliant son! I knew you would come to your senses. Tell me about her. Who is this wonderful lady?" Bright smiled mysteriously. "Her name is Stella. She is beautiful, educated, and elegant. I want to bring her home for you to meet her." The queen's joy overflowed. "Bring her, my son. Bring her home. I can't wait to meet this precious jewel." The next day, Tami, now Stella, sat comfortably in the back seat of a royal car. Her personal driver, provided by the king, drove her through the city toward the palace. She looked breathtaking. Her hair was neatly done in a graceful style. Her gown shimmered softly under the morning sun, and a light scent of jasmine surrounded her. As she stepped out of the car, her confidence filled the air. She walked with calm dignity, the soft rustle of her gown echoing across the marble floor. The queen came out passionately to welcome her. "My daughter," she exclaimed, hugging her warmly. "You are even more beautiful than I imagined." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Tami said politely, her tone soft but clear. "Come, my dear," the queen said, leading her into the dining room. "Sit down and eat with us. Tell me about yourself." Tami smiled gracefully. "My name is Stella," she began. "I am the daughter of a late business icon. My father was a man of integrity, and my mother raised me to be humble and kind." The queen nodded approvingly. "You must be very learned. I can tell from your refined speech and sophisticated looks. You are exactly the kind of woman my son deserves." Tami smiled again and glanced at the prince, who gave his father a quick wink. The king, though quiet, understood what was going on and smiled inwardly. That evening, after the meal, the queen couldn't stop talking about Stella. "She's perfect," she said. "Finally, a woman fit for the palace." The prince only smiled and nodded, hiding the truth for the right moment. Soon, wedding preparations began. The palace buzzed with activity. Invitations were sent across the kingdom, and nobles from neighboring lands arrived to witness the grand occasion. The queen personally supervised the arrangements, making sure everything was splendid. She spared no expense, determined to give her son and his new bride a royal wedding to be remembered for generations. On the wedding day, the event hall sparkled like a diamond. The golden drapes shimmered in the sunlight, musicians played softly, and the scent of fresh roses filled the air. Tami walked down the aisle, her gown glittering like the morning dew. The crowd gasped in admiration. She was the picture of elegance. The prince's eyes shone with pride and love. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, the hall erupted in cheers. Even the queen, moved to tears, embraced her new daughter-in-law and whispered, "Welcome to our family, my dear." Months passed, and happiness filled the palace. The prince and Tami's love grew stronger every day. The queen adored her new daughter-in-law, not knowing that this elegant woman was the same village girl she once despised. Then, one morning, the palace doctor arrived with joyful news. Tami was expecting a child. The whole palace rejoiced. The queen danced with joy. "At last, my grandchild will soon arrive," she exclaimed. That night, as they lay together, Tami turned to her husband and said softly, "My love, I can't continue living this lie. Your mother loves me now, but she loves me as Stella, not as Tami. I think it's time we tell her the truth." The prince looked into her eyes and nodded. "You are right. It is time. We will tell her, but not with anger, but with wisdom." The next day, the prince shared his plan with the king. The wise old man listened carefully and smiled. "Yes," he said, "the truth must come out, but in a way that will open her heart, not break it." A few days later, the king called for a special meeting in the royal hall. The queen, curious but unsuspecting, arrived in her royal attire. When she entered, she saw Kola, his wife Io, and Tami's mother. The queen frowned. "What are these people doing here?" she asked coldly. The king raised his hand. "Peace, my queen. I invited them." The queen looked confused but sat down, though discomfort was written all over her face. Moments later, the prince and Tami entered the hall. Tami looked radiant as usual. sitting beside her husband with calm confidence. The king began. "My queen, look closely at this young woman beside our son. Do you recognize her?" The queen smiled proudly. "Of course I do. That is my lovely daughter-in-law, Stella, the pride of our family." The king nodded slowly. "Look again, my queen. Do you recognize her truly?" The queen frowned. "Why these questions? I said she's my daughter. What is this about?" The king turned to Kola and Io. "Do you recognize this lady sitting here?" Ben and his wife exchanged glances. "No, Your Majesty," they said. "We have never seen her before." The king smiled slightly. "Are you sure?" Before anyone could say another word, Bright whispered to Tami, "Go and change, my love." "When you don't," Tami stood up and quietly walked out. A few minutes later, she returned, dressed in the same simple outfit she had worn the first day. She met the royal family. The unfitted gown and old pair of slippers she wore when she went to welcome the king and queen at the airport. As she entered, the hall fell silent. The queen stared, confused at first. Then her face changed. Her eyes widened in shock as realization struck her like lightning. The dress, the face, the eyes, it was Tami. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It's you. You are the village girl." Kola and his wife gasped, their mouths wide open. The queen covered her mouth with her hands, tears flowing freely. "What have I done?" she cried. "Oh, what have I done?" The king looked at her gently. "Yes, my queen, this is the same girl you once rejected, the same girl we called unworthy. And yet, look at her now, the woman you love as a daughter." The queen couldn't stop crying. She remembered how she had insulted Tami's family, how she had thrown money at Io, how she had lied about the girl's death. And now, this same girl had brought joy to the palace and was carrying her grandchild. Slowly, she stood and walked toward Tami. Everyone held their breath. The queen knelt down before her, weeping openly. "My daughter," she said between sobs, "forgive me. I was blinded by pride. I wronged you terribly. Please, find it in your heart to forgive me." Tami's eyes filled with tears. She knelt down too and embraced the queen. "Mother," she said softly, "I forgave you a long time ago." The king stood and raised his hands. "Let this be a lesson to us all," he said solemnly. "Discrimination is evil. No one is born less than another. A pure heart is greater than fine clothes or noble birth." The prince walked forward and joined the embrace. "Mother," he said, smiling through his tears, "love should never be measured by social status. You see now that what truly matters is the heart." The queen nodded, still crying. "You are right, my son. I was foolish. I will love and protect Tami till my last breath." From that day forward, the queen treated Tami like her own daughter. She personally took care of her during her pregnancy, making sure she lacked nothing. Months later, Tami gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and the entire palace rejoiced once more. The king named the child Ayomide, meaning, "My joy has come." And indeed, joy returned to the royal family, the kind that is built not on wealth or titles, but on love, humility, and forgiveness. Dear viewers, share with us what you learned from this story in the comment section. If you would like to see more stories like this, kindly like, subscribe to this channel, and share. Thank you.